Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Hockey Talk with TG podcast. I'm Ty Glenn. Hopefully, you guys are having a great day. Got lots of NHL games to recap. Plus, we'll give in-depth news on Trevor Zegras' injury as he'll be out for the next 6 weeks. And then we'll talk about the NHL games for this weekend because there's only one NHL game on the slate for today, which I will tell you guys that at the end of this episode. But without further ado, we are going to go ahead and get right into it. So make sure you listen to this episode to the end. All right, so Red Wings, Flyers, Scott Laughton. It was the Scott Laughton Bowl in that game as he scored all 4 goals in the Flyers 4-1 win over the Detroit Red Wings Thursday. So he passes the 100th goal milestone. He now has 102 goals in his NHL career, and he becomes the first Flyer since John LeClair to notch a 4-goal game. And of course, John LeClair did it on October 15th of 2002. And Travis Konecny had 2 assists for the Flyers, while Alexei Kolosov made 25 saves, and the Flyers moved to 14-12-4, and they win consecutive games in regulation for the first time since October 29th through 31st. So congratulations to Philly. Ben Sherratt for the Red Wings. He scored the lone goal for them, while Cam Talbot made 32 saves in his return, and he missed the last 4 games because of a lower body injury, which he had in that Red Wings and Canucks game. I believe that was an afternoon game on a Sunday where he got injured. And the Red Wings not looking so good. They're 3-5-2 in the last 10 games, and they're 11-14-4 of the season. But they're back at home Saturday at Little Caesars Arena, taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Of course, that'll be one of the games for Hockey Night in Canada, and this will air on NHL Network for U.S. residents. I'm not sure if you Canadians can watch it on NHL Network up north because, like I said, it's Hockey Night in Canada, so it's most likely going to be on there instead of NHL Network. I think you guys can watch NHL Network, but I think for like these games, because you guys have Hockey Night in Canada, you should be able to watch it on like Sportsnet or something. I don't think it's going to be available on NHL Network for you guys. But for the Flyers, they're also playing Saturday. They will head to the State of Hockey to take on the Minnesota Wild at 1 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Of course, the Wild are coming off of a 7-1 blowout loss to the Edmonton Oilers at home last night. So they look to bounce back in Saturday's game against Philly. All right, moving on to the Penguins and Canadiens. So Brian Rust, he notches a hat trick in the Penguins 9-2 blowout win over the Montreal Canadiens. He also had an assist for a 4-point night, so 3 goals, 1 assist for Brian Rust. Vakar Rakell also had a 4-point night, getting 2 goals and 2 assists. And Sidney Crosby had 3 assists in the game. And Chris Letang in his hometown of Montreal, he had a goal and assist in the game for a 2-point night. And the Penguins moved to 13-14-4 of the season, and they won 6 of their past 8 games, so certainly on fire right now. Anthony Beauvillier, Matt Nieto, and Noah Acciari had the other goals for Pittsburgh, while Tristan Jarry made 21 saves in the game. And for the Canadiens, Captain Nick Suzuki and Joel Armia scored the other goals for Montreal. And the Canadiens, they allowed 6 goals in the third period. Of course, Sam Montembeault got pulled in this game, and Caden Premu replaced him in net because Sam Montembeault allowed 6 goals and 26 shots. And Caden Premu made 4 saves on 7 shots in relief. Of course, he gave up the other 3 goals in that game, but he managed to make 4 saves on 7 shots. And the Penguins, they sweep their season series meets against the Montreal Canadiens. So, of course, they won 6-3 on October 4th. That game was in Montreal at the Bell Center. And then they won 3-1 on November 2nd. That was a game at home for the Penguins. And then in this game, most recently, they won 9-2 on December 12th against the Canadiens at the Bell Center. The Penguins head to Ottawa to take on the Senators Saturday at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time, while the Canadiens will be in Winnipeg to take on the Winnipeg Jets Saturday at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Of course, that will be on Hockey Night in Canada, both of those games. So, of course, it's always great to tune in to Hockey Night in Canada, whether you're American or Canadian. It's always a blast. I mean, I grew up, despite me being American, I grew up watching Hockey Night in Canada. Obviously, the best feeling. So, as a hockey fan, so yeah. All right, Maple Leafs, Ducks. The Maple Leafs hold on for a 3-2 win over the Anaheim Ducks Thursdays, and so the Maple Leafs moved to 18-9-2 of the season. They're 5-2-0 in their last 7 games. Max Pacioretty, he had a 3-point night, getting 2 goals and 1 assist. Excuse me. And William Nylander, he scored in this game. And John Tavares had 2 assists for the Maple Leafs. And Anthony Stolarz made 7 saves on 8 shots in the first period before being replaced by Joseph Woll to start the second period. And he did not return, obviously, because of a lower body injury. So after having a stellar night in New Jersey against the Devils in his hometown, he gets injured in this game. Don't know how long he'll be out. Hopefully it's not that long, because I'm really liking this goaltending tandem for the Maple Leafs, Anthony Stolarz and Joseph Woll. But Joseph Woll managed to make 19 saves in relief for this game. But hopefully for Anthony Stolarz, he's not out for too long. For the Anaheim Ducks, Jackson Lacombe had a goal and an assist. Frank Vatrano scored a goal for the Ducks, while Lucas Dostal made 30 saves for Anaheim, and the Ducks lost 5 straight games in a row. They were playing a back-to-back set. Entering this one, they lost 5-1 to the Ottawa Senators Wednesday, coming into Thursday's game against the Maple Leafs. They're 0-4-1 during their 5-game losing streak, and they're 10-14-4 of the season. These two teams will meet again on March 30th in Anaheim, Maple Leafs and Ducks. And the Ducks, they conclude their 4-game road trip in Columbus against the Blue Jackets Saturday at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time, while the Leafs head to Detroit to take on the Red Wings Saturday at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Of course, that'll be an original sticks matchup, and that game between the Leafs and Red Wings will be on NHL Network for you guys to watch. All right, speaking about the Anaheim Ducks, so Trevor Zegras will be out 6 weeks for them after having surgery Thursday for torn meniscus. Hopefully I pronounced that word right, in his right knee, and he has not played since December 4th against the VGK Vegas Golden Knights, which they lost 4-1 to the Golden Knights at home, and he missed the last 4 games because of that injury, and he sustained that injury in that 4-1 loss to the Vegas Golden Knights. This season he has 10 points in 24 games played. 4 goals, 6 assists for 10 points in 24 games played this season. He missed 51 games last season because of a groin injury and a broken ankle. So Trevor Zegras, he's just can't catch a break. I mean, he keeps having these injuries. So it's tough if you're a Ducks fan and you want your key players like Trevor Zegras to step in the game. This is what head coach Greg Karian had to say on Trevor Zegras' injury after a 3-2 loss to the Toronto Maple Leafs Thursday. So he said, Trevor is a very offensive, gifted player, but I think he was playing hard defensively too. And when he puck battles along the wall, which again is a compliment to his game, his compete level, it's a blessing to get him back in 6 weeks, not 6 months. We have a hard time scoring, so it's going to be good to get him back. And that's what he said after their 3-2 loss to the Maple Leafs Thursday. So, of course, Trevor Zegras' best season was in the 2022-23 season, where he had 65 points in 81 games played. So 23 goals, 43 assists for 65 points in 81 games played. And like I said, he is a key player for the Anaheim Ducks. And we're used to him doing all these Michigan-type goals, which, speaking of which, we almost saw Matej Michikov do a Michigan goal in last night's game against the Red Wings. So having Trevor Zegras being out for that long is obviously tough, but the Ducks are just going to, have to manage through that. All right, moving on to the Kings and Devils game. So this was a 2012 Stanley Cup Final rematch between the Kings and Devils, but it will be the Devils coming out with the win as they won 3-1 against the LA Kings Thursday, and they end their 6-game losing streak. Jack Hughes, he had a goal and 2 assists in this game, and the Devils moved to 19-10-3 of the season. Andre Palat had a goal and an assist in this game. Brett Pesce scored his first goal as a New Jersey Devil, while Jacob Markstrom made 12 saves in this game. And for the LA Kings, Jordan Spence scored the lone goal for LA, while David Riddick made 23 saves for the Kings. And like I said, the Kings had their 6-game winning streak snap, and they're now 17-9-3 of the season. And the Kings continue their 7-game road trip at Madison Square Garden against the Rangers Saturday at 12 o'clock p.m. Central Time. And the Devils will look to close out their 5-game homestand with a win over the Chicago Blackhawks Saturday at 12 o'clock p.m. Central Time. And so far, the Devils are 2-1-1 during their 5-game homestand, and this game between the Devils and Blackhawks will air on NHL Network as part of the NHL Network Showcase. So we'll see if the Devils can close out their homestand with a win, or will the Blackhawks come away with the win, because the Blackhawks are playing a back-to-back set for that one. So, of course, they'll play New Jersey Saturday, and then they return home to face the New York Islanders Sunday, which, of course, will be another game for the NHL Network Showcase. And speaking of the Islanders and Blackhawks, it will be the Islanders coming out with the 5-4 win over the Chicago Blackhawks at UBS Arena, and so they move to 12-12-7 of the season, so they're right at 500. Simone Holmstrom had a goal and 2 assists in this game. John Gabriel Pageau had 3 assists. Noah Dobson had a goal and 2 assists in this game, while Ilya Sorokin made 26 saves for the Islanders. And the Islanders, their third period, got off to a fast start, sort of, as they scored 3 goals in a span of 2 minutes and 17 seconds from Noah Dobson, Bo Horvat, and Maximum Tysplavikov. Hopefully I pronounced that last name right. And the Islanders led 5-1 midway through the third period before the Blackhawks would score 3 goals in the final 9 minutes and 56 seconds from TJ Brody. And, of course, they got 2 goals from Tyler Bertuzzi. Connor Bedard, he had a goal and 2 assists in this game. Alex Vlasic, the hometown kid, he had 2 assists in this game, while Arvis Soderblom made 14 saves on 19 shots facing net before being replaced by Drew Commesso. And Drew Commesso made 2 saves in relieving for his NHL debut. Of course, Arvis Soderblom allowed those 5 goals on 19 shots faced in net, so he had to get pulled. And the Blackhawks lost 6 of their past 7 games. They're 1-2-0 under interim head coach Anders Sorensen, and they're 9-18-2 of the season. Like I said on this podcast, I'm hoping that this is a turning point for the Hawks, because we cannot have another head coach doing bad. But like I said, Anders Sorensen, he's been doing good in Rockford. I'm pretty sure he'll bring some of that skill set to for the Blackhawks, despite them being 1-2-0 under him now. But hopefully, like I said, this is a turning point for the Hawks. They conclude their 3-game road trip against the Devils on Saturday at 12 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Like I said, that will be on NHL Network as part of the NHL Network Showcase. And the Islanders, they start a 3-game road trip in Chicago against the Blackhawks Sunday at 2 o'clock p.m. Central Time. That will also be on NHL Network as part of the NHL Network Showcase. So the Islanders look to sweep their season series meetings against the Blackhawks just like that. Moving on to the Sharks and Blues. So Macklin Celebrini notches 3 points in the Sharks' 4-3 win over the St. Louis Blues. And so he had 2 goals and 1 assist for a 3-point night. And the Sharks moved to 11-16-5 of the season. Tyler Toffoli and Jake Wallman scored the other goals for the Sharks, while Alexander Georgiev made 17 saves in his San Jose Sharks debut. Of course, Alexander Georgiev was traded to the Sharks along with forward Nikola Kolovlenko, a conditional 5th-round pick in the 2025 NHL Draft, and a 2nd-round pick in the 2026 NHL Draft for Mackenzie Blackwood, for Giovanni Smith, and a 5th-round pick in the 2027 NHL Draft on Monday. And, of course, we talked about that on the Hockey Talk and TG podcast. So, yeah. For the Blues, Jake Neighbor, he had a goal and assist for a 2-point night. Braden Shen and Jordan Kyrou each scored in this game, while Jordan Bennington made 27 saves, and the Blues moved to 14-14-2 of the season, coming off of that loss at home. And they were 3-1-0 on their 4-game road trip heading into this one at home, and they're 3-2-0 in their last 5 games. But the Blues, they'll be in action in the Big D on Saturday to take on the Stars, who surprisingly lost 4-1 to the Nashville Predators last night, but at least the Predators break their 8-game losing streak right there. while the Sharks return home to start a 3-game homestand against Utah Hockey Club Saturday at 9 o'clock p.m. Central Time. And, of course, the Sharks, they finished their 6-game road trip 3-3-0. All right, now moving on to the Flames and Lightning game. So it was a big night in Calgary for Nikita Kucherov. He recorded 6 points in the Lightning's 8-3 win over the Calgary Flames. So Nikita Kucherov, he had 1 goal and 5 assists for a 6-point night. That is unreal for a player like Nikita Kucherov, and he ties the Lightning single-game record. Of course, Doug Crossman got it done for Tampa Bay, getting a 6-point night on November 7th, 1992. And Braden Point got it done for the Tampa Bay Lightning last season on March 14th, 2024. And, of course, Nikita Kucherov had another 6-point night before this one on November 24th, 2023. So it would have been cool to see him get a 7-point night, getting 2 goals in this game, and then 5 assists, or getting 1 goal and 6 assists right there. But anyway, the Lightning get it done. They moved to 15-10 in 2 of the season. Jake Guentzel notched a hat trick in this game, and Braden Point had a goal and 3 assists for a 4-point night. Anthony Cirelli had a goal and 2 assists for a 3-point night. Brandon Hagel and Connor Geekie scored the other goals for the Lightning, while Andre Vasilevsky made 19 saves. So, of course, Braden Point, Anthony Cirelli, and Brandon Hagel, each representing Team Canada for the 2025 NHL Four Nations Face-Off event. They show up big in Calgary right there. Team captain Victor Hedman, who will be representing Team Sweden for the 2025 NHL Four Nations Face-Off event. He did not play in this game because of a lower body injury, so obviously tough having your captain not play, and especially somebody like Victor Hedman to be out. But hopefully it's not too long, though. For the Flames, Jonathan Huberdeau, Nazem Kadri, and Connor Zary scored the goals for them, while Dan Vladar made 18 saves. Really loved that Nazem Kadri goal last night, like going around, well, not going around, jumping a Tampa Bay Lightning player. So he literally jumped over the Tampa Bay Lightning player, and he scored a goal. I think it was like a 360 goal he scored, I believe. I watched the clip on Instagram, and like I said, that was like an unreal goal. Probably one of the top goals of this season so far. So I really loved that. And of course, you guys hear me, like, you guys will see a video on my TG Hockey channel giving you guys top moments of December 2024, and also I'll upload a video on the top moments of 2024 on that channel probably by the end of December or the start of January. So yeah. And the Flames, their 7-game home point streak ends. They were 6-0-1 during that span. They're now 14-11-5 of the season. But the Flames continue their 5-game homestand against the defending Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers Saturday at 9 o'clock p.m. Central Time. P.S. The Florida Panthers, they were coming off of a 4-0 shutout loss to the Vancouver Canucks. So they look to bounce back in that game against Calgary. And the Lightning conclude their 4-game Western Canada road trip, sort of, in Seattle against the Kraken on Saturday at 9 o'clock p.m. Central Time. All right, moving on to Utah and Colorado. So Dylan Guenther notches 3 points in Utah Hockey Club's 4-1 win over the Colorado Avalanche. So Dylan Guenther, he had 2 goals and 1 assist in this game, and Utah moves to 13-11-5 in this 13-11-5 of the season. They won 3 of their past 4 games. Logan Cooley, he had 2 assists in this game, and Vladislav Kovalchuk, hopefully I pronounced that last name right, Russian hockey player. And Kevin Stenlund, he scored the other goals. They scored the other goals for Utah, while Karel Vejmelka made 23 saves in this game. Nathan MacKinnon, he scored the lone goal for Colorado, while Scott Wedgwood made 19 saves in this game. And the Avalanche, they won 4 of their past 5 games, and they're now 17-14-0 of the season. And the Avalanche, they're back in action on Saturday against the Predators at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Time. So Ryan O'Reilly returning to his former team right there. I think he was drafted by the Colorado Avalanche. And of course, he returned to the lineup, and Thursday's game against the Dallas Stars, I think he had a goal and assist for a 2-point night. while Utah, like I said, they'll be in San Jose to take on the Sharks Saturday at 9 o'clock p.m. Central Time. All right, moving on to the Bruins and Kraken. So Oliver Bjorkstrand, he scored twice in the Kraken's 5-1 win over the Boston Bruins, and the Kraken moved to 15-14-2 of the season. They're 4-1-1 in their past 6 games. This was a emotional game coming in for the Kraken because their chairman and owner had passed away yesterday. So this was an emotional game for them. So obviously tough to hear. In the Kraken, they came into the league in 2021, and he was the chairman and owner of the Kraken, and the owner had, passed away. So obviously, sad to hear. Jared McCann, he had a goal and assist in this game. Shane Wright, he had 2 assists in this game. And Jaden Schwartz and Vince Dunn scored the other goals for Seattle, while Philip Grubauer made 33 saves. For the Bruins, their captain Brad Marchand, who will be representing Team Canada for the 2025 NHL 4 Nations Face-Off event, he scored the lone goal for Boston on a penalty shot, while Jonas Korpisalo made 16 saves. In the Bruins, they lost 2 straight games after winning 4 straight. Coming into this one, they lost 8-1 to the Winnipeg Jets Tuesday, and they're now 15-13-3 of the season. And each one of these teams takes one game in the season series meets at home. So, of course, the Bruins took the first meet at home at TD Garden on November 3rd. They actually shut out the Kraken 2-0 in that game. And the Kraken, they win 5-1 at home against the Boston Bruins on December 12th. The Bruins close out their 5-game road trip in Vancouver against the Canucks Saturday at 9 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Of course, the Canucks took the first meeting of that series in Boston. Jake DeBrusk, I think he had a 2-goal game. I know Jake DeBrusk scored in that game against his former team. I don't know if he had 1 goal or 2 goals in that game. But anyway, the Canucks look to go 2-0 in their season series meets in that game against Boston. And the Kraken, they continue their 4-game homestand against the Tampa Bay Lightning Saturday at 9 o'clock p.m. Central Time. NHL games on the slate. So there's only one game on the slate for today, and that is the Ottawa Senators taking on the Carolina Hurricanes at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. This game will air on NHL Network, so you guys will be able to watch on there. And then some weekend games. There are 15 games on the slate for Saturday, but I'm just going to tell you guys the most notable games to watch during the 15-game slate for Saturday. So, of course, the Chicago Blackhawks taking on New Jersey Devils at 12 o'clock p.m. Central Time. This will air on NHL Network as part of the NHL Network Showcase. You guys know I will be watching that game because I am a Chicago Blackhawks fan. I said it on this podcast a bunch of times, and I said it on the TG Hockey Channel a bunch of times, and as you guys kind of know me or met me in person, I told you I'm a Blackhawks fan, so of course I'll be watching that game against the Devils. Hopefully the Blackhawks can win that game to close out their 3-game road trip, because so far they're 1-1-0 during their 3-game road trip. Of course, we were coming off of that 5-4 loss to New York Islanders. We actually scored late in that game, and I was like, where was this offensive firepower in the third period for the Hawks? But anyway, that will be one notable game to keep an eye on for Saturday. And then another one, the LA Kings taking on the New York Rangers at 12 o'clock p.m. Central Time. So 2014 Stanley Cup final rematch between the two teams. Of course, the Kings had this 6-game winning streak ended last night against the Devils. Coming off of a 3-1 loss, they look to get back in the win column against the Rangers. And then the Flyers, after the Scott Laughton Bowl last night against the Red Wings, they head to the State of Hockey to take on the Minnesota Wild, who of course lost 7-1 last night to Connor McDavid and the Edmonton Oilers. That game will be at 1 o'clock p.m. Central Time. And then the VGK, Vegas Golden Knights, taking on the Edmonton Oilers at 3 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Of course, that will be one game for Hockey Night in Canada. And then the Pittsburgh Penguins taking on the Ottawa Senators, another game for Hockey Night in Canada, coming on at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Of course, both of these teams are coming off of wins. So, of course, the Senators won 5-1 against the Ducks on Wednesday, and the Penguins had a big win in Montreal last night, winning 9-2. So, of course, they will look to get wins against each other in this game. This is also a 2017 Eastern Conference Final rematch between the two teams. And then we got the Toronto Maple Leafs taking on Detroit Red Wings at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. So, of course, this will be on NHL Network for U.S. residents, and this will also be part of Hockey Night in Canada as well. And also the original 6 matchup. And then we got the Montreal Canadiens taking on the Winnipeg Jets at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. So, another Hockey Night in Canada game. And then we got the defending Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers taking on the Calgary Flames at 9 o'clock p.m. Central Time. So Matthew Tkachuk and Jonathan Huberdeau, after that blockbuster trade, I think 2-3 years ago in the summer, they'll be facing their former teams. And then we got the Boston Bruins taking on the Vancouver Canucks at 9 o'clock p.m. Central Time. 2011 Stanley Cup Final rematch. And, of course, the Canucks already beat Boston this season. They look to end their season series meet 2-0 against the Bruins. So those are some of the notable games for the 15-game slate for Saturday. Now we get into Sunday's games. Of course, there's 5 games on the slate for Sunday, but 3 of them you might want to keep an eye on. So it will be the New York Islanders taking on the Chicago Blackhawks. Of course, I think the Blackhawks start a 3-game homestand right there, and the Islanders will start their 3-game road trip in Chicago. These two teams played yesterday, and the Islanders won 5-4. This will air on NHL Network Sunday at 2 o'clock p.m. Central Time, 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern, as part of the NHL Network Showcase. Then we got the Buffalo Sabres taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs at 4 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Of course, I don't think Buffalo and Toronto are too far apart from each other. I know Buffalo's in the States, Toronto's up north, but I don't think it's too far from each other. I think it's like a 1 hour, 2 hour drive. I'm not sure. But yeah, they'll play against each other at 4 o'clock p.m. Central Time, 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. And then the VGK, Vegas Golden Knights, head to the State of Hockey to take on the Minnesota Wild at 5 o'clock p.m. Central Time. So they'll be playing a back-to-back set. They'll be playing against the Oilers tomorrow and then the Wild Sunday. That will air on NHL Network after the Blackhawks and Islanders game for Sunday. Alright guys, so that is going to do it for this episode of the Hockey Talk TG podcast. So thank you guys for tuning in. As always, I really do appreciate you guys, at least the people that tune in to the Hockey Talk TG podcast. Really makes my day better. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Of course, we got a busy night. Not a busy night. A busy hockey weekend coming up. But remember to keep God first as always. Be blessed. I'll see you guys Monday for another episode of the Hockey Talk with TG podcast. Like I said, busy night, busy day of hockey coming up this weekend. There's only one game on the slate for today, and that's the Senators and Hurricanes. Then we got a busy weekend of hockey coming up tomorrow. 15 games on the slate, 5 on Sunday. So yeah. Anyways, take care.